Hey, what's going on? This is Jared, and today we're talking about Spider-Man, the new movie, as well as what it looks like to help others. This is Pastors on Pop. Well, hey, Matt, it's so good to be with you. Always fun to be with you and talk about different things going on in our pop culture. And did you know that Spider-Man is like millions of dollars away from being the top grossing movie? It's about to overtake Avatar.
For real?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I just saw that. Actually, I saw a video of Tom Holland, and he was being interviewed, and it was like a reaction of him being told, because he was like, you got to be kidding me, seriously?
Like in the U.S. or overall?
I think in the U.S.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think in the U.S.
Well, Spider-Man it's great.
Yes, it is great. Well, and there's some parameters around that, right? Like, people haven't been in the movies in forever, and so I think people are going to the movies in droves specifically to see this because it's so highly talked about. And
inflation's at like 48%. So, you know, the amount of dollars spent today is different than the amount of dollars spent.
That's fair. Yeah, because it's like $80 to go on a date.
It is.
You know, where when we were kids, it was like 20.
It is, yeah. The regular movie price now is like $18 where we live.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
where it was pre-COVID, it was like 11. You know, so they're making $7 more off of all of us.
Yeah, and then if you buy like popcorn and things, it's like astronomical.
Ridiculous.
So
I have the AMC stub card.
Yeah.
That's supposed to give me a discount, but it still feels like I'm getting robbed.
Yeah, every time. My wife and I went to go see Spider-Man, and we wanted an icy drink instead of like a fountain drink, and I didn't realize like you can't like buy a cup and get whatever you want. And they have a guy like just standing there, like patrolling the fountain drinks to make sure that you get what you're actually supposed to get.
Yeah, well, last time I went to the theater, they handed me a cup, and the guy said, so you can only fill this up once. I said, I'm paying $7 to fill this up once?
Is
He's
this
like, you can just take it back. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I don't want it.
Yeah. This is still America, right?
That's right.
The land of free refills.
Man. Can't limit my soda consumption. I'm at the I just paid $22 for a bucket of popcorn and a soda. You're going to fill them up for me.
That's so funny. Oh, man. So, but Spider-Man, it lived up to the hype, I thought. There were obviously tons of spoilers that came out. Like, we knew, you know, multiverse stuff was happening.
Yes,
we
the
knew
multiverse,
the different Spider-Mans.
I didn't.
You didn't?
I like closed myself off to that world. Like,
nice.
I knew the multiverse was coming because of Loki and stuff, but and I knew some of the villains were going to show up. But after that, like, I didn't read any Spider-Man articles because I just wanted to. I love Spider-Man, so I just wanted to take it all.
So
in.
How was that reaction for you?
Well, our whole theater cheered when Andy Garfield, right? Yeah, when he showed up, like it cheered, and then like Toby showed up, and then like there was like girls screeching, probably like my age when Toby was like, you know, the young hot guy playing Spider-Man, like those were all the ladies yelling. And
that's so funny.
Yes, it was two big moments.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked how. I was actually kind of disappointed that Miles didn't show up.
Yes, that would have been fun.
Because that would have been cool. Even like you could get an actor to play Miles, and all of a sudden like he's like, oh my gosh, like. What is this world that I'm in, you know, and kind of spin that too. But
yeah, well, Sony's got their own thing with, you know, the whole Spider-Verse thing that they're building. So there's going to be a second one of that.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Where they're going to expand that universe. So there's going to be like 2 Spider-Man universes in already a multi-universal.
Yeah. So
we've entered into
it was super clever though. I thought, what a cool way to go about that and having them all in
and
there.
When they did like the Spider-Man meme kind of thing,
where they're all like pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Did you know? So I read, you know, when Andy playing Spider-Man, obviously, like tells the other guys, "I love you."
Yeah.
And like they react kind of weird. He improv that line.
Oh, really?
And so they didn't know that it was coming, and so he's like, "I love you guys," and they're like, "Okay."
My favorite part of the movie.
See you later.
My favorite part of the movie is when I think it was Toby's Spider-Man number 1, is that what they decided, right? Was talking to Andy's Spider-Man, and he was trying to get him to say that he was amazing because Andy was in the Amazing Spider-Mans, right? And like, so I was like dying laughing, but I was the only one in the theater that I think maybe got
the
or
reference.
At least thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Either way.
I thought it was hilarious. We should have gone and seen it together because I would have been right there with you. Yeah. And you actually chose the color of the set today, which is red. Which totally matches Spider-Man, and I didn't even think about that.
You got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
I got to raise the bar in this place.
That's right. Hey, I appreciate that. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of that multiverse going on, and the other kind of really the premise of this Spider-Man, right, is that Peter Parker is discovered, and everybody knows who he is. Half the city loves him, half the city hates him for what he's doing, and so he goes to Doctor Strange.
Before you go there,
yes,
can we talk about Daredevil showing up? Did you watch any of the Netflix Daredevils?
No.
They might be like the greatest thing that Marvel's put together.
Really?
Is the Daredevils. Yeah, they are so raw and good.
Is that the one with, who's Daredevil? Is it Ben Affleck?
No.
No,
Oh, that's like years ago.
Okay.
No, this is the
Okay.
network or the Netflix series. So there's 3 seasons of it.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
It is so good. So
Okay.
he shows up.
Who does?
Daredevil.
In Spider-Man?
In Spider-Man, yeah. He's sitting at the table. He's the lawyer. And he's got the glasses on, and then the brick comes in, and he catches it like all crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I didn't realize that's who that was.
Yes, so that's Daredevil.
Okay.
And it comes out of the Netflix 3 seasons of Netflix series, and they are worth
that's cool.
watching. They are so good.
Yeah,
and in terms of pastors and faith being a big deal of our life, they handle faith so well in that show.
Yeah, well, we need something. We're rewatching stuff now, so we're like rewatching Lost and things. So we need a new show to.
Well, there you go,
Daredevil.
Daredevil. Yeah,
Netflix.
3 seasons of Daredevil Netflix, and I was so pumped when they brought him into the movies.
Yes,
because I love Daredevil.
That's cool. Yeah, we that happened, and Christiana and I were like, what? I had no idea.
All right, now go back and watch Daredevil, and they do a great job. And so I totally interrupted your point in getting us in the right direction.
No, you're good. So half the people love him, half the people hate him. And you see this in the trailer, right? So we're not giving away too much here, but basically he goes to Doctor Strange and says, "Hey, can you erase everyone's memory so no one remembers that I'm Peter Parker, so that I can kind of go back to normal world or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, but wait, I want my Aunt May to know who I am, and my best friend, and my girlfriend." And he ends up containing the spell because he's like, "Dude, you ruined it."
Doctor Strange doesn't seem so strong.
Yes.
Peter Parker can influence.
That's right. Yeah, but then people start showing up, villains start showing up, and then everyone is showing up. And so, really, what I wanted to talk about with you today is this idea of helping other people and loving and serving other people, which is really Spider-Man. That's what he's trying to do, right? He's really trying to serve New York and be a part of the Avengers and all of those good things. It's good intentions.
Yeah. Now, are you going to spoiler alert this with what happens with the villains? Because that seems like a main thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Spoil away.
Well, don't you have the button?
Oh, yeah. Here you go. There you go. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, the whole theme, if you haven't seen it yet, right, is Spider-Man trying to save the villains and make them good, right?
Yes.
And so he's even taking like his good-natured, Spidey to these villains to make them
which comes through
good.
Aunt May.
Yeah.
Right? So Aunt May actually is like, "Hey, you have a greater purpose here." And the greater purpose is maybe these people have been brought into our universe so that you can save them and send them back so that they're no longer villains.
Yeah, she just didn't realize Green Goblin was totally playing her.
That's right.
Evil master plan.
Yeah. But he still kind of is No, he saves him at the end, doesn't he? I'm trying to remember. No, it's close. He does the whole thing again, though, like he does in the first one where he's like, "Peter." Yeah. Man, and that guy does. For that guy to come back years later and be the exact same was phenomenal.
Yes.
Like,
really
he's
good.
like dead crazy.
Yeah.
And at the same time plays that innocent card of manipulation so well.
Yeah, so all these villains, right, are supposed to get healed. Like, he's trying to heal them. He's trying to help them.
Yes.
So that they can live redeemed lives, and then it all goes
right. But he helps a lot of them. By the end, everyone but him, I guess.
Yeah.
But even Doc Ock, right? Like at the very beginning, he helps them right away, and he's actually one of the reasons that they're able to be successful at the end of the movie. And so, hey, what's going on? My name is Jared. I am the Innovations Pastor here at Crossroads Church. If you are enjoying our content today, would you do me a favor? Go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking, and lastly, share with your friends. We also want you to know that every weekend we get together at 8:30, 10, and 11:30 for our weekend services. We'd love to see you there, either in-house or online. Let's get back to it. But yeah, so there's a lot of good in being able to help people and to invest in people. And we're actually currently in a series called Care. Does the church care? And Pastor Chris is leading us through that and saying, yes, the church does care, and what does it look like for us as the people of the church to care for our neighbors, to care for one another? What does Jesus ask us to do? And so I wanted to maybe embrace that a little bit, or really maybe lead people to that. Like Pastor Chris is going to do a really good job of walking us through of what it looks like to care well. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about what does it look like when care isn't helpful. And so we see some of that fallout too, right? Even we went and watched the first Spider-Man, Homecoming, where he's trying to stop people robbing in a bank, right? And then he ends up like blowing up his friend's store, right? So he's trying to do a good thing, but actually ends up harming somebody and hurting somebody that he really cares about. And so there's a good book out there. It's a book by Steve Corbet, and he writes a book, When Helping Hurts. And really the premise of this book is when you're trying to help someone and you're actually enabling them more than actually helping them. And like in the context of mission work, if you flood a bunch of money into a third world country and you get them established and then you pull that resource away, they don't really know how to help themselves. And so they become enabled or dependent on you. And that's really not helpful. And we were joking before the show that that's kind of the state of where we are in our country right now,
As
right?
a nation, right? Yeah, just flood every problem with money.
And
the problem.
And here's some stimulus money, and hey, here get your tax stuff early, and all of this stuff that now we're in this state of. Did you say 49% inflation?
I was just joking.
Okay.
Last year it was 7%.
Okay.
Which is insanely high.
Yeah, it's and we are all feeling it, right? You go to the grocery store and all of a sudden things are costing more. Gas is costing more, and it's actually causing turmoil even within our staff here at Crossroads, where we're sitting here asking the question, man, how do we financially survive what's going on? The housing market is insane, and I'm learning that it's not just in Colorado, that it's everywhere across the country. Is this weird thing going on with real estate where people are selling, in more expensive areas and moving to less expensive areas, and people who are from that area can't actually get a home because people are coming in with like these crazy cash offers over asking price.
From somewhere else, right?
Yeah, and so it's insane. And so when I was in Ireland, when I lived there for 2 years, and these kids were graduating high school. I was doing youth ministry there, and I'm like, cool, are you going to go to college? Are you going to go get a job? Like, what's your plan? And they told me, our plan is to get on unemployment. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And they said, well, we can make more money on unemployment than we could ever make in a job. And so there was only one kid that I knew that actually got a job, and everyone else just their rule there was, I think, like apply for 2 jobs, and then you can apply for unemployment. You didn't even have to interview or anything. You just had to prove that you gave it a shot.
They didn't have Scott's Tots.
That's right.
Yeah, to inspire them to
absolutely. So, but we know years later, like Ireland was one of the countries that went bankrupt, right? And so my question, I guess, I've done a lot of talking here. I'll spin it back to you. But my question is, and I know that you've read that book too, but how do we help people in a way that is beneficial, that isn't actually going to cause more harm than good? And what does that look like for us? Not as pastors, but just as people.
Yeah. So that book, actually, we read as a staff probably 10 years ago. And part of it was in terms of our benevolence here as a church. And so we have a benevolent offering. We take benevolence. We're able to help people who are in need with their bills and that kind of stuff. And at that time, we had our own food bank, and this idea around when helping hurts was cognizant of us. Because what we found out, particularly through the food bank, is that we really did create dependency. And so people would show up every week, and sometimes they would even be so bold to take out their list, and they had all of the different food banks in the area listed out and what days that they were open so that they could go to these various spaces, right, in that. And it wasn't really helping people. It was creating dependency. And if Crossroads ever ceased to exist, like, what would then happen? And that's really been a driving question of ours for a long time. Like, with Crossroads being where we're at, is the community better because we're here? And that's led to all kinds of decisions here at the church. But one of them was in terms of reading this book of When Helping Hurts. And the big takeaway for us out of that book, at least the way that we said it, what became big in our language, is that we're not much interested in giving handouts, that we want to give hand-ups, right? Like we want to help enable people to do and have a better life for themselves, that we want to bring flourishing into the world. Now, if somebody's in need, like if we see a need, we want to meet it. With the fires in around the Marshall area, like there's a tremendous need. Money can help, gift cards can help. We see that need, we're going to meet that need in that space. But what does it look like in the years to come alongside that community and not just continue to offer money, but really go, what does it look like to hand up in this situation? And so through the years, a variety of things have happened. And one of the dreams that we have here with our land in Thornton is to use part of it to create affordable or attainable housing that we can, because housing is so crazy out here, where we can help the working poor, where they can get into a place that their rent would be based on their income, not because we're not there to make profit, we're there to be sustainable. So we don't have to charge the rates that everybody else charges, right? We're not looking to make money, just to sustain what we have going. And saying, can we come alongside the working poor and charge them rates that are in line with their income, so that they're not extending to 50, 60, 70% to be able to live in a small apartment.
Just the opposite of the Make Money Work series that we just went through.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I mean, I was having a conversation with Pastor Tim, and it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at houses around because I thought, well, maybe we can downsize a little bit, you know, and save a little extra money, and that'll be okay. And it's okay. We can live in a smaller house and be okay. And I'm like, man, you can't find anything to downsize. And you, I think, told the story about someone else on staff that was trying to find some housing, and it was like astronomical.
And
renting is out of control.
One of our employees on staff is looking at homes, and they found an 1,100 square foot home for $500,000. Yeah, that's the start-in price. You know, in the Denver area. And so, like in Thornton alone, if you're a family of 5, you need to bring in $104,000 a year to just be above the poverty line.
Which is crazy, because when I started here in the end of 2017, I think it was like $74,000.
Yeah, it's gained $30,000
that's insane.
In almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And so looking at that, and so like I said, in this, how do we as a church then engage in this? Not just to provide a handout. So we could certainly write a check to help somebody cover a month's mortgage, but then they're in the same thing next month, right? And so again, one of those dreams is to go, well, what would it look like if the church was actually able to partner with other entities and to build housing where if you made $50,000 a year, and good housing practices is to spend 30% on this, so you shouldn't spend more than $15,000 on your housing. Well, what if we could provide that in a sustainable way for people, so that we're actually helping them with a hand up, as opposed to just writing a check where they're in the same problem the next month. And
that's becoming more and more needed
in
our area.
And so, that's one of the ways that we've dreamed about what that looks like. We've changed the way that we do benevolence, so that it doesn't create dependency, but really help in that space. And so that book had a huge impact on the way that we interact with the poor in our own areas, and then particularly as we think about situations overseas as well.
I know, I mean, there's obviously, when you look at, as just an individual, right, like helping other people, even seeing a homeless person on the street, like there's so many different ways that we can respond to that. And I always just love how my wife approaches it. You know, she's very prayerful, and and ask, like, God knows, right? And if she feels that urging, like the Spirit is urging her to give, like she gives without question. And I'm always like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know what they're going to do with that. And
they're going to spend that on drinks and alcohol.
And she's like, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to listen and obey. And so she doesn't do it for everybody. It's not like, hey, every time I see someone on the corner, I'm giving them cash. But if she feels prompted in that moment to give, she is not hesitant at all to give whatever, she has to that person. And I admire her for that. And I think that there's the reality there that God knows the bigger picture of where people are at. And so for us to remember to be prayerful about those things. And when we see people that we think, man, I want to help this person. God, how can I do that? Like incorporating him into that decision making is a really important deal. And I know that that's what we do with benevolence here at the church as well. Is it's not just like someone looking at how much money do we have and can we afford to give them? And, you know, there's a lot of prayer that goes into that, because we don't want to just we don't want to just hand out stuff, but we actually want to help people get back up on their feet.
Yeah, and the way that we've tried to live that out has not been perfect by any means, but, you know, we had an example from Lebanon came to us, right? There's a ton of need in Lebanon right now with the Syrian refugee crisis. It's the greatest displacement of humanity since World War II. It's been going on now for over a decade, which means that, you know, when the war started at 6, that there's now a whole generation of Syrian kids who haven't been in school. Like, they are destined to poverty.
Yep.
And so as we were thinking through this, like, certainly we could give money to help with food and all that kind of stuff. And we have to some degree. But we looked at it and said, there's a partnership that we have where they wanted to build an entire school. They wanted to buy this building and transform it into a school so that they could specifically educate these Syrian kids. And so one Christmas, we put all of our giving and charitable space that we take during Christmas, and we gave it to that organization so that they could build a school so that these kids, when they become 16, 17, 18-year-olds, have a chance at actually having a job as opposed to having to live on welfare checks from whatever state they're in for the rest of their lives. And so for us, we stepped back and said, we can give some money to food, and we will, but we're going to actually put a greater emphasis on helping build the school so that all of these kids and generations of kids can be trained in such a way and educated so that they can live beyond whatever this food check's going to get them, you know, 3 months of food.
Yep. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's why we decided to give money and sponsor a kid through Compassion. It's the same way. It's not just
Us too.
It's not just giving money to another country saying, hey, take this money and do something good, but it's an organization who has feet on the ground that are doing work to help the people who are there so that they can be self-sustained. And so I just think that that's a really important piece to what we do. It's not us coming in and fixing everything, but it's us coming in and really building up the people who are already there to be sustainable and then getting out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Peter Parker just read the book.
That's right. Yeah, he would have known what to do, you know.
He would have had some questions that he could discern.
That's right, absolutely. So, yeah, we are in this series called Does the Church Care? Please check it out every weekend, and we'll be back again in a couple weeks with another topic about Does the Church Care? So we'll see you then.